Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of A Year in the Red. We are going to be talking today through Luke chapter 14, verses 12 to 14. So if you want to turn there, I'm going to read here. He also said to the man who had invited him, "When you give a dinner or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors, lest they also invite you in return and you be repaid. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. You will be repaid at the resurrection of the just." This is really cool, and I think that it greatly demonstrates just Jesus' grace and mercy to those of us who don't deserve it but need it. So Jesus here he's at a banquet, and he is telling the man who had invited him, when you have, let's say, a party, don't invite the people who you would normally invite. Basically, he's saying, don't invite your friends or your family or relatives or anybody, and he says rich neighbors, because they can repay you, whether or not that be through another invitation, so that maybe you get invited back to their house. But what he's saying here is, he says, invite the poor, invite the crippled, invite the needy, the people who can't give you anything else, who can't offer you something in return. The poor and the crippled, are not going to be having banquets. They're not going to be having dinners where they invite people over to their house. But he's saying, reach out to those who don't have, as opposed to those who have and can repay you. And what he says very specifically at the end, it says, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. And it's kind of, and it's another way of Jesus telling us that that storing up our treasures here, it doesn't matter. That the only kind of treasures we need to be looking for are the ones that we will get in heaven. And not only that, but when you think about the things that you do to under obedience to God, but things that maybe you're looking for human praise for. And Jesus tells us, number one, that that's not what we're supposed to be doing it for. We're not supposed to be doing it so that the guy next to us will say, "Hey, really good job," We're supposed to be doing things specifically for Jesus, and doing the things that he asks us for doing, being obedient to him. And he's saying, don't worry about what you can be repaid here. Those things don't matter. It doesn't matter if you get invited to that party. It doesn't matter if they give you a thank you card. It doesn't matter if somebody sends you a edible bouquet of strawberries and pineapples. Those things don't matter. Your reward will be in heaven. And do things specifically for obedience to me. And it's just, it leads kind of the question to, I think about it in terms of friendships. And are we only friends with people who can offer us something in return? Do we only love those people who are going to love us in return? Or are we reaching out to those people who maybe it's hard for us to love them because they are not very nice to us, or they have bad attitudes all the time, or I don't know, something like that. Are we loving those people, or are we only loving the people who are going to love us back? And, when you give a gift, are you giving gifts to people and then expecting something in return? I gave you this present, where's my thank you card? Or now when it's my birthday, you'll give me a gift. So when you think about it in terms of friendships and just the people that we're associating with, the people that we're hanging out with, what I tried to do when I read this parable is try and think about my own life. And, am I not only extending invitations for dinners, if we're going to go strictly, literal here, or am I extending a hand of friendship to those people who maybe can't offer me something in return that my friends can offer me? And that could mean a number of different things. The first thing that it goes to, the poor and the needy and the crippled, are we are we going downtown to homeless shelters and offering not just here's my helping hand, but here's my friendship? I'm offering myself to you, not just as a way for me to say, hey, I can feel better about myself because I'm helping you, but am I offering myself as another brother or sister in Christ that actually wants like an actual relationship or a friendship, not just a way to make me feel better that I went out and helped somebody. And just really kind of think about what it means to have your reward in heaven, or your repayment in heaven, as opposed to down here, which is very difficult for us to think about. It's our human bodies and fleshly desires are things that we crave that admiration, or we crave that maybe just being affirmed and things like that. And Jesus tells us over and over again not to worry about that stuff, that the only affirmation we need is in Him. And the only things that we should be looking forward to are those rewards in heaven, not the rewards that we might get here. So there's a challenge, think about it's very short, but think about what that actually means. Are we extending our hand of friendship and fellowship to those who can offer us something in return, or to those who can't offer us anything in return? And Jesus tells us that we need to do that, and because our repayment is not here, it's in heaven. And obedience to Him is doing the things that He wants for us to do. So think about that for this week, and we will see you next week here at You're in the Red. Thanks, guys.